VO in Stereo is sponsored by Bodalgo, international voice acting platform.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to VO in Stereo. As always, I'm your host, Jared Breschers, along with
Stephen Coghill.
I know I say it, you know what? I say it a lot. Today is a really, really special guest to me. You've seen him in such films as Grease 2, 1941, and Wargames. You've heard him on Dexter's Laboratory, Rock-a-Doodle, Kim Possible, and the know-it-all kid from the Polar Express. It's an honor, an extreme honor to have on Mr. Eddie Deezen.
Woo! So great to be here. My honor. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Jared.
Welcome, man. So thrilled to have you.
My pleasure.
Man, it's awesome to have you. It's all about you today. So there's no wrong answers, and I'm going to hand it right over to Stephen to kick us off.
Hi, Eddie. Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Sure, Stephen. It is definitely my pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Sir, my first question to you to start things off is, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Cumberland, Maryland, a little town in Western Maryland. I lived the first 18 years of my life. The day after my high school graduation, I went out to Hollywood to make my mark, whatever, to get into the business or whatever. And then it was a little rough going for a while, but I got Grease after just 2 years, so I kind of lucked out.
So let's slow down there. So you grew up in Cumberland, Maryland. And so did you grow up with any?
Yes, sir.
Did you grow up with any siblings? Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have an older brother, 3 years older, younger sister, 3 years younger.
And were they interested in the arts, or was it just
not
you?
At all? They're very reclusive. My brother's the most reclusive guy in the world. He's a self-confessed misanthrope, and my sister is so private she won't go on Facebook.
Wow!
But I love people. I'm totally different. I love people. I love to meet them. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So how did you catch the bug? Was it something that influenced you, or was it just?
I think Stephen, our generation. How old are you, Stephen?
I'm 53.
Okay, you're a little younger than me. I'm 64, so you're 10 years younger. But our generation, we grew up on the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, the Marx Brothers. I was influenced by all those guys, and this is what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to be. I never achieved that kind of greatness, but that's what I wanted to be.
So did you have anybody in particular that influenced you, or was it just like the Three Stooges kind of in general?
Three Stooges did. Curly Howard is my supreme comedic idol. He was a huge influence, even though you can't see it because we don't look alike. I kind of look like young Jerry Lewis. So everybody says, oh, Jerry Lewis. Yeah, he was a huge influence too. Daffy Duck was a huge influence. Speaking of voiceovers, Daffy Duck was a great influence on me. My all-time favorite cartoon character. And I pretty much took my character right from Daffy Duck.
That's awesome. So big Mel Blanc.
Yes, genius
fan. Yeah, he was amazing. And so you grew up in Cumberland, and you had a brother and sister. And so did you go to like in school? Were you like interested in drama and that sort of thing? Were you into that?
No, I was interested in girls, but unfortunately, it wasn't true. Vice versa. That was about all I was interested in. I didn't do any of the subjects. I couldn't do anything. Not only couldn't I do any of the subjects, I could barely find the classroom. I was so lost. I was the most lost person in the world in high school. I couldn't get out of there quick enough. And then after high school graduation, I came out to LA.
And at high school, though, what kind of person were you in high school?
I saw both sides of it, Stephen. I saw both sides. Some years I was the most popular. I was voted best personality, most popular. Some years I was a geek. I was picked on. I was unpopular. So I saw both sides of the fence.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what made you want to go out in Hollywood? I mean, what compelled you to just say, I'm just.
Well, my dad offered to buy me a Dairy Queen. My dad was a fairly affluent Jewish guy. He offered to buy me a Dairy Queen, and I didn't see that in my future. He was going to buy me a Dairy Queen. There was a Dairy Queen for sale. He said, "I'll buy it. You can run it." But that never came to pass, luckily, or I'd be making chocolate malteds right now instead of talking to you guys on your show. And it was kind of all I could do. I always had a talent for being goofy, for being funny. So I kind of just went with that. And, you learn over the years. You start out very green. You think I'm going to be Bob Hope or whatever. And you're way far from that. You learn more as the years go by. You grow as an actor. Hopefully I did. Yeah.
And you kind of learn where
Oh,
you're
yeah.
at, like as characterizations and kind of like,
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah. You're
this
so
is
green when you're 18. We
right.
all are. We get out of high school,
Yeah, you think the
to this
sky's the
day,
limit. So I'm going to be the next James
exactly.
Bond.
To this day, tens of thousands of guys come out. They all want to be the new James Dean. Girls win a local beauty contest. They want to come out and be the new Marilyn Monroe. This has been happening for 50 years, probably for 100 years. And it probably goes back to time immemorial. Well, I guess we have movies now on TV. I don't know what they did before that, but I guess kids would go out and want to be in plays and be actors. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Radio star.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We all have face for radio, don't we?
Yes, exactly.
I am very pretty. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Gorgeous.
We're all
both
very
have beards,
beautiful
Jared,
people.
don't we?
Right?
Yours doesn't itch that much, though. You don't have the itchy part.
How long
I'm
have you
doing
had
this every once
How
in a
long have you
while.
had?
and
That's pretty new. How long have you had the beard?
I had this, Stephen. I was in the hospital most of last year. I had severe heart trouble. I was really sick.
Yeah,
and I was in the
remember that.
hospital, and I started growing it there. And I got home, and I just loved not having to shave every day.
I see.
Responsibility, and not to make a terrible pun, but it kind of grew on me. It just grew on me, and I stuck with it. Yeah.
It looks good. We could do like a home improvement show and be like,
Exactly. Or ZZ Top. Yeah, ZZ
Right?
Top.
Right. Or
Yeah.
like, a stages of beard growth from start
exactly.
to
Yes.
next and
Yes.
yeah, something like that.
maybe
better than personal
cheerleading
growth.
pyramid.
That's true. There's not a lot of personal growth happening here.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. So you went to Hollywood. You didn't know anybody there, right?
No, I knew nobody. I just came out with my friend.
How did you know where to go? What to do? How did you?
It was a very lonely time. I would shoplift a lot. I did a lot of shoplifting. I go to this restaurant every day. It was called Googie's downtown. It's where James Dean used to eat. You get a bacon and egg breakfast for $1, bacon and eggs, and I had to get water with it. I'd have that every day, and I would skip out without paying my bill. They had a bathroom downstairs. You finish your meal, and you go downstairs, and there was an back door down there, and I would continually eat my meal, go downstairs, and sneak out the side door. I did that over and over. Then once my dad sent me a big check. Get this, Stephen. He sent me a big check. So I'm in the restaurant. This is the only time it happened. I get the big check. I go, you know what? I'm going to make good, a little good. So I got my meal. I paid for it, and I left it $20 right by my plate, and I went out the door. And they go, hey, wait, you didn't pay your bill. It was the one time they caught me. It was one time I did pay my bill. And I got righteously indignant. I go, hey, what do you mean? I paid that. Look, it's right here. I'm never going to eat here again. I was righteously indignant, Yeah.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
Yeah.
Man, that takes, excuse my French, that takes a huge set of cojones.
Well,
Stop what
maybe
you're doing and
the
move
opposite, Jared. Maybe it took a coward to do something like that. Maybe it took a guy who wasn't that big guy was skipping it.
No, I'm talking about moving out there and having to go through all of that.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
okay. I
Not
can kinda
skipping
see
out on food. I mean, I
Yeah.
obviously don't skip out on food ever.
that.
I mean, maybe I trot a little bit like a show pony.
Right.
But yeah,
But just to make that move, that total move out there, and then having to do whatever you
wasn't
have to
happy
do.
there. I was very unhappy in high school, so it was kind of a relief in a way to get out of there. I see what you're saying. That's very kind of you. People have told me that. Now, to give you the whole story, my dad would send me $400 a month, which was a lot in those days. Rent in those days was like $100 a month, literally. This is in LA. So that would pay my rent and it would pay my food bills for that month.
And how did you get? So you got representation. Obviously, somehow you went to auditions, or you found out where they were.
Well, it was in a laundromat. It was in a laundromat, Stephen. There was an ad for a manager. Her name was Regina Penner. I think she's still around. She wasn't the nicest lady, but she managed me in 76. I goofed around for about a year, shoplifting and doing different stuff like that. I did the Gong Show in 76. I got gonged by Paul Williams. And then I saw in a laundromat ad manager. You want to be an actor? You want to be a manager? I phoned her and we got in touch. She became my manager. She somehow got me my audition for Grease. And I went into Grease. It was a huge cattle call. And I went in and I left out. I got Grease. I wasn't even in the union, The showbiz thing is the catch-22. You can't work unless you're in the union. You can't be in the union unless you work. So there's that catch-22. So I wasn't even in the union, but I went into my Grease audition. I had like a Pee Wee Herman ice cream suit, and I greased my hair down with Girl Cream. And I went in, and it was Randall Kleiser, our director, Alan Parr, the producer, and Joel Thurm, the casting director of Grease. And I went in and I had like 4 lines. Eugene's a very small part of the movie, but I had like 4 lines. And I noticed they nudged each other. I was reading my line, and they were nudging each other, and they would nudge it. So I knew I did good, as an actor. If they nudge each other, that was a good sign. And then, okay, I'll give you the metaphysical story. This is a metaphysical true story. They hired me for Grease. They said, you're going to play Eugene in Grease. I was really ecstatic. I called my parents. I'm going to be in this movie with John Travolta. I was ecstatic. So a couple of days later, they called me up. my agent called me, said they cut the role of Eugene out of Grease. You're no longer in the movie. It's over. They're not going to use the character in the movie. Of course, I was crushed. Oh my God. She goes, tell you what, I'm going to come over. So Regina Penner drives over. She says, we're going to go to church. What? I'm Jewish. I've never been in church in my life. We're going to go to church. Okay. So she takes me to the church. It's still there. It's called Our Mother of Good Counsel Church. It's on Hollywood and Vermont. It's off Hollywood and Vermont. So we went there. She said, we're going to go in there and pray. What? How corny is that? I think I still believed in God in those days, but we went in. She said, no, we're going to light a candle and pray. This is Goyim stuff. I'm so Jewish. So we went in, we lit a candle on the altar, and we prayed. Literally, I said, please let something good happen. I feel so terrible, God. Da, 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 da. I literally prayed. Now, this happened either the next day or a day or two later, but very soon after that, my agent called again. They're putting you back in Greece. Paramount called. They're going to use you again. You're hired again. Now, people who are believers go, that's a great religious story. They go, that's an inner story. People who are non-believers go, it's a total coincidence. You lucked out. So take it however you want it, but that's 100% true story. That's how I got in Greece.
Wow.
Take it either way.
Take it either way. Yeah. It could be either one, Jared. We'll never know.
Yes.
It's metaphysical. Yeah.
So it almost didn't happen. That's interesting.
Yes. It almost didn't happen.
I mean, I don't necessarily.
If I hadn't got Greece, nothing would have happened for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I never got into anymore.
Well, I mean, that was your launching point, which is
that
amazing.
was my launch.
I mean,
I lucked out because most people, their first film is a turkey. Usually your first film is this obscure film, a Z-grade movie. Nobody ever, almost everybody, John Travolta, Tom Hanks, they all started in Turkey, but I started on top of Greece, so I kind of lucked out. And then they got me my union card. They could start working after that.
Yeah. And
see, mine was in Free Willy where I jumped over the rocks and they just got a picture of my belly.
Right.
And they didn't pay much, but it was fun jumping over the rocks.
Everybody remembers that scene. So it's a good one.
We're talking about memories. Oh my God, look at every show you've been good Lord have mercy. You've been a part of entertainment for 30, 40 years now?
Yeah, I lucked out. We did film Grease in the summer of 77. And then 78, it came out June of 78. And then I just went from there. Yeah.
And did you guys do like stage shows or anything like that with Grease?
I did, Stephen. All we've done is we've done a lot of signing shows with different cast members. Of course, John and Olivia are above that. John and Olivia both have like $50 million in the bank, which the rest of us do not have. So we go around the country doing signing shows and guest appearances, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and we'll do Q&As. They'll screen Grease. We do Q&As. We do a lot of those.
And I'm
still friends with most of the cast.
I can
assume passed away.
I can assume you're not hooked up with Scientology, so I think you're good.
No. Not right now, no.
No, not right now. Okay. In the future, you just never know.
Yeah.
So, what brought you to voiceover? How did you get from from film to voiceover?
This was my first one. This is true, Stephen. I did the movie Wargames in '83. That was where I was saying I was the first computer nerd in that film. But I did my scene, okay? Now, my director was a guy called Marty Brest, who later did Beverly Hills Cop. Marty directed me in my scenes. After about 10 days of shooting, we saw the dailies, and they didn't like Marty's dailies. So they fired him, and John Badham was hired. But John Badham saw my dailies, and he liked my one scene. My scene's the one scene Marty Brest directed they left in the movie, luckily. But people will say, oh, you work for John Badham. Like, I never even met John Badham. He's a wonderful director, but I never met him. And then luckily, Marty went on to find his fame with Beverly Hills Cop. But they kept my scene in, and I got in that. Anyway, to answer your question, I kept screwing up in Wargames. I had a scene where I had to go, the data encryption algorithm. I can say it easy now. I've been saying it for 4 years. Data encryption algorithm. But when we filmed it, they go, take one. Okay, the new data encryption algorithm, cut. Okay, 2. The new data encryption algorithm, cut. The new data encryption algorithm, cut. I kept screwing up. So the director calls me over. He crooks his finger. He goes, come here. He puts his arm around my shoulder. He goes, let's go for a walk, Eddie. Okay. So we go, he goes, look, he goes, you're costing the studio money. He goes, you're costing us a lot of money. You keep screwing up. I go, I'm sorry, sir. I can't pronounce that word. He goes, okay, I understand. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to rate your lines out on this idiot cards. They're called idiot cards. And he looked at me kind of severely when he said idiot. He goes, these are idiot cards. I noticed he put the accent on idiot, but he said, wrote them out there. We did the scene. Anyway, we did the scene. Matthew Broderick, this was like his second film. He was the sweetest guy in the world. We did the scene, idiot cards. I did it in one take. Bang. The new data encryption algorithm. Those are Falcon's maze. And I did the scene real easy that way. We did it. I said, what a great racket. You don't have to memorize lines. You just read them off the thing. That was my first inkling of what a voiceover was. You just read your lines. You don't have to memorize lines. The hardest part of acting for me was always memorizing lines. So this is a racket where you read lines. Anyway, years later, I started doing gradually. I do these cartoon shows and all, and you have to read lines. And I got hooked on it. I started doing voiceovers. And there's a few little stories in there, but it was a gradual thing. And I just started doing cartoons. I did Scooby-Doo, and different things at Cartoon Network. And got into Dexter's Laboratory, probably my best show, and different ones. I'd freelance and do different shows around here and there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I had one, Stephen, Jared, get this. After I did Polar Express, they wanted me for one. I swear to God, this is true, but I'll never know what happened to it. They wanted me to play, it was a cartoon series about Jesus Christ. It was a comedy show, and I was playing Jesus. And I auditioned, and they liked me, and it went good, and it was perfect. Now, I don't know if it wasn't politically correct, or the censors cut it out, or they kicked it out of the suits, maybe didn't want to do it. But it never came to pass. That would have been an interesting series if I'd done that.
I would have loved to have seen that. A Jewish
Yeah,
guy
I would have
playing,
loved to have seen it
Jewish, yes, playing Jesus Christ. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody's
By the way,
around
where'd you get
running
that cool collection of guitars, Stephen?
Oh, it's been a long time coming.
Are those all yours, and do you play?
Yeah, these are all mine. I fix,
Oh my God!
Yeah, I fix and I'm a composer, so I fix.
Are you in? I see. Are you in a band?
No, I used to be in bands, but I write all the instruments. I play drums and guitar and keyboards, and
I didn't know
play
that.
all.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
what a collection!
Yeah. So I work on guitars too. I work on people's guitars and fix them and repair
I
them
see.
and stuff,
Okay.
So I kind of love them.
Yeah, I can see.
Headphones.
Steven is
too,
a musical renaissance man.
pretty much. So
He's a
you're
very good producer. Don't let him fool you.
yeah.
He's very talented.
Okay.
So you're currently in. So you live in Cumberland now.
I'm in Maryland now. Yeah, I was very sick last year. I was in the hospitals all year. And my mom just said, "Why don't you move in with us?" So I'm living with my mother and brother now. I'm very happy, and I'm all recovered. So it's a good time for me right now. I don't know what the future will bring.
Now, did you
We'll
live
see.
in? Did you live in California for a long time?
Yeah, 41 years. I worked out of there for 41 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So you
Yeah.
got acclimated to the LA lifestyle.
Oh yeah, LA's is more my home than Cumberland. But
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna think so because probably you're used to what's going on over there.
yeah.
Well, what is like talking about comfort and stuff? Like, what are some things that you miss from LA, like food wise, or just something you can't
definitely.
get?
Well, the more the selection of restaurants, the wonderful restaurants out here, Jason's, Musso and Frank's, these wonderful places, and a fish and chips joint on the corner that I love. 8 Salts fish and chips we can't get out here. I love. So many different places I love. Oh, Pink's hot dogs, my favorite. We have Curtis's hot dogs here. They're not near as good. They're okay. Pink's hot dogs I go to all the time. I love. Yeah, I could eat 4 hot dogs in those days, and it was a wonderful place. And I miss the bookstores. LA has tons of bookstores. We don't have hardly any here. My brother will drive me out to, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. We'll go to Barnes and Noble. I love to read. So I miss the great bookstores in LA. And of course, the cute girls in LA we don't have out here. Not as many anyway.
Yeah, I understand. Of course. Do you plan to go back?
I may, Stephen. Right now, I'm happy here. I'm so happy to be recovered from last year. I'm kind of living on a glorious time because I'm not sick anymore. I'm not in pain anymore. But I might go back in my future. We'll see. Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah. Got an interesting question for you. If you could
Sure.
time travel
Uh-huh.
anywhere,
Okay.
when would you go?
What a great question. That's the first time I've ever been asked that question. That's a great question. I would say maybe not back that far. I get maybe 64. I go to see the Beatles. I like to go see the Beatles or be at the beginning of the Beatles or see the Beatles in Hamburg. So I'm a huge Beatles fan. So just off the top of my head, that would be my answer. I don't know. So you kind of like, what event would you like to see? I'd probably like to see the Beatles the most. If I could
Like
go back
run
in time.
through the Abbey Road photo shot?
Yeah, that was kind of later. Yeah, maybe like the earlier top, the more innocent Beatles.
Just
But I
like
like to see
photo
them anytime.
bombing?
Remember, if it was Abbey Road, I had to put up with Yoko.
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
So
Well,
let's avoid that. Let's
That's-
set the time
that's no
machine
bueno.
back 5 years earlier.
yeah,
that's
no
a
bueno.
different time travel
Yes.
adventure.
Yes.
Yoko, who?
Right.
Yeah, maybe you should go
Oh, what a beautiful
beforehand.
singer she is!
Yes.
You should jump beforehand and make sure that doesn't happen.
Right?
Little divine intervention. So then how did you get the job for Polar Express?
Polar Express. I had done the first one with Bob Zemeckis. By the way, the best director I ever worked with, better than Spielberg or any director I've ever worked with, Bob Zemeckis is the best. I did his first one, what was a film called I Want to Hold Your Hand, 1978. And I played myself a Beatles in that. I played a Beatles. This is the first film Spielberg ever produced. Steven Spielberg was our producer, and it was his first produced production film. It was a fun shoot. It was great, but the movie did tank. It didn't do well at the box office. Anyway, Bob remembered me. It was like 25 years later, and he wrote me into the movie Polar Express. He goes, "We have this role, know-it-all. I want you to play it, nobody else." And he wrote me in. So if you look at the Polar Express books, there is no know-it-all character. It's just something Bob added and wrote in for me. And it was a joy to work with him. Tom Hanks is my all-time favorite movie star. So, working with him, it's like, are you serious? I'm like flipping out. The first day on the set, I didn't even know Tom was in it. And then I walked on the set the first day and they were playing a tape back and I heard Tom Hanks' voice. I go, it couldn't be. No, there's no way it could be. So anyway, we're all in the room together. There's about 100 of us in this crowded room. Tom Hanks come bouncing in the room. He picks me out of it. He goes, hi, I'm Tom. No shit, Sherlock. He puts out his hand to shake his hand. He's like an overgrown kid. He's the nicest, kindest person I've ever met. Besides John Travolta, they're kind of bookends. The two kindest people I've ever worked with are John Travolta and Tom Hanks. There's the same ilk, just these great, great guys. And working with him was a joy. After we finished Polar Express, he goes, this is Tom Hanks. He goes, Eddie, I hear you're a baseball fan. Oh yeah, I love baseball. You want to come to a Dodger game, sit in my box seats with me? Are you fucking serious? So he took me to 3 Dodger games. This is the nicest guy in the world. Anyway, I had this friend, Tommy. He said he can bring a guest. So I had my friend, Tommy. He had Lou Gehrig's disease. He had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. His body was like atrophying away and he's becoming gnarled. His motor controls, but he could hardly walk. And he would go, hi, Stephen. Hi, and he could hardly talk. He was atrophying and getting worse and worse. So I said, I'll take him to this game, but it'll be a treat for him. But I go, oh my God, Tom will never even be able to understand this guy, but I'm going to bring him. Tom Hanks is a nice guy. It won't be a big deal. So I bring Tommy to the game. Tom Hanks singles him out. He goes, come here. I want to see, come sit by me. So we're in his box. He takes Tommy down there. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I see Tom Hanks talking to Tom, and Tom is listening to him earnestly. He's nodding his head. He's asking him questions, and Tommy's answering. Tom signed a baseball for him and gave him a baseball, and made a night special for him. And that's just one of a million Tom Hanks stories, but that story sums up who Tom Hanks is. That's the kind of guy he is.
Tom Hanks is the guy, if you hear Tom Hanks got in a fight with 5 nuns, you go, what in the hell did those nuns do?
Perfect. Exactly right. Jared, perfect. That's so perfect. You're right. Exactly. You would blame the nuns. You're right.
Exactly. Man, that's a tremendously fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, man.
Oh, sure.
You're going to have me cutting onions, Eddie. I got a good one for you, and I want to know this one.
Yes, sir.
What is your spirit animal?
Spirit animal?
Oh, yeah.
I've never honestly thought of that. Tell me what yours. Let me see how this works.
I think mine would be a bear because I'm very nice and jovial, but at the same time, if you pee on my trees or mess with my cubs, I'll like rip you in half and eat you. And I'm a very nice person, but
thank you for the warning because I was going to pee on your trees, but now I won't. I wouldn't even think.
Oh, you can ask. I got a tree just for company.
So, Jared, I've heard of this. So, spirit animal means the animal you most associate with. It's you,
right? One that, like, if you could, like, if basically,
it would have to be for me. It has to be dogs, I guess. I have 3 animals I love. I love dogs, cows, and horses. But I would say if I had to pick my spiritual animal, it would be dogs. Your sign is falling in the back, Jared. Your VO sign.
Oh, your VO sign is falling.
Yeah.
It's from VO Atlanta, 2017. We did finger painting.
Remember when we were kids? Alberto VO5, remember?
Alberto VO5.
Yes, remember?
And they told 2 friends, and they told 2 friends, and so
Elvis Presley had a housekeeper in his house. Her name was Alberta, and he would call her VO5. So, hey, VO5, come over here. That was a joke of the 60s.
VO5. Sounds like you got a robot working for you.
Right, exactly. R2D2 and VO5.
R2D2. So is there a Polar Express 2 coming down the pike?
I kind of didn't want artistically. I didn't want it, but I'll be honest with you guys. Let's be honest here. After my hospital bills last year, I'll be in debt for the next 1,000 years. So I wouldn't mind doing one now.
I'm sure.
The financial condition I was in 2004. And we don't have free health care in this country. So, I'm paying a lot of money.
No, I can imagine. Are you currently looking for work and are
Oh, I'd love to work. Sure. I love to. But, the virus, the virus, it's kind of weird because I had my bad year last year where I crashed out. But the virus was going on at the same time. While the virus was going on, I was stuck in hospitals. So I didn't see what was going on in the outside world so much. My family would come in to visit me, and some days I would lapse into a coma. They'd come in and I'd be in a coma. They go, Eddie's not awake now. He can't see, and I'm there in a coma. Next day I was up and my mom goes, is Eddie okay? The doctor goes, look, I'm going to be honest with you. He's touch and go. He could go anytime. And I was this close to dying. But luckily I did survive. Yes. I survived to see this virus now. Now I wake up, I get out in the world. We're all living together in this Twilight Zone episode now called Corona-19 Coronavirus. We're in the Twilight Zone.
Yep, you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, I want to go back to sleep now because I woke up and now I'm in this nightmare.
Exactly, yeah. Let's all put on these masks and be 6 feet away from each other. It's something like my brother was saying a year ago. If you'd done the last March a year ago, we couldn't have imagined. Somebody told us what the world was going to be like. We say, "Oh yeah, right." We said this is the biggest joke, and we're living through it.
Well, that brings up a really good question and a really good, I guess, take on just life in general. And I want a piece of advice from you, not about voiceovers or entertainment, but about life in general and how you've been able to deal with all the ups and the downs. Like a piece of advice for anybody.
Well, I would say what I've learned in my 64 years, try not to be cruel to people. Don't be mean to them, because I've been there. And all that is it is going to come back and hit you. We're basically good. I'm 100% certain of this. We are all basically good. And when we do this stuff, we all go, well, I'm getting punished by God. I do an evil act. Let's say you steal something. You hurt somebody. Let's say you screw on your girlfriend. Like, I did an evil act. God's going to punish me. And you realize, no, there's no force. I'm not saying there isn't a God, but there's no force out there punishing you. You do it to yourself. It's an intrinsic thing. When we do evil, because we're natively good, we break ourselves down. And that's why you see blind. This is what I believe. You see blind, and we have these little aches and pains, and we're all such flawed creatures. It's because we did evil things in our past, maybe this lifetime, maybe long ago, but we've done evil and broken ourselves down. This is my own belief. Yeah. I believe we're a mortal spirit, for sure, all of us.
I love that take.
Let me ask you a question, Eddie.
Sure.
Do you like to write? Do you write screenplays?
I've never gone that far, Stephen. I like to write jokes. I'm so corny, Stephen.
That's actually surprising to me, to be honest.
Yeah, I've never, even tried it to write something or like a book or anything. But I'm a compulsive joke writer. I have my papers right here by my bed. Every night I go to bed, I have my notebooks here. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up. Hey, and I'll turn on the light like an idiot. I'll write down my little joke. I'm going to put this on Facebook. That's a good pun, and I'll write it up. Then I'll go back to sleep like an idiot, But I'm a compulsive joke writer. I have to keep writing. And I've been that way since I was a little kid. When I was a kid, I would fill up notebooks with writings. Now we have this avenue called Facebook. We can go and whatever any of us wants to write, we can put out there. Any thoughts we have, we can put out. It's called Facebook, So it's a great thing Mr. Zuckerberg gave to us, I think.
Yeah, it is. It gives a lot of people an opportunity to connect with people they wouldn't normally be able
Absolutely.
to connect with.
The saddest thing I see about I'll travel every day. I'll get the birthday list, and I'll go to people's birthday, wish them happy, and I'll go, going around the pages, and none of us can visit all the pages. We all have friends, but they're friends we never go to their page. You just can't. The numbers, it's impossible.
Right.
But I'll go to some pages, and some people will have just these pages, and they'll put the post, and there's no likes. It's the saddest, most poignant thing. And you'll go down their page, and they'll write, this is me and my mom there. Or this is me and my dad at the carnival. And they'll show them. And, we all we're used to having, 5 likes or 6, but there's no likes. You just go down there. And sometimes even sadder, some people will like their own posts. There'll be no likes, and it'll be like Mary Jones's page, and they'll go likes. 1 like, Mary Jones.
Right.
It's like, it's so sad you want to weep. But I always say Facebook is a mirror of life. You see all kinds there. You'll see, a vast majority of nice people just like in life. There's this small percentage of assholes, these dickweeds, that in Facebook or in life, they're like 2% or 3%. And you just, luckily in Facebook, you can block them. You see this guy's a dickweed, so let's push the block button. You never have to hear from him again. In life, we're not that lucky.
No.
These people can be, our teachers or our coworkers or our bosses or our ostensible friends, but you were stuck with them in real life.
Dickweed.
Yeah.
I know, no block button.
Dickweed.
We need a block button in real life.
Yes. Wouldn't that be great? Such a profound statement. And you're right. We do need one, but unfortunately, it's not there. God didn't give us one.
Go away and never come back.
Yes,
I found a block button.
Yes. I guess the way we've always done it through the age, is murder. I guess murder is a block button, isn't it, of life?
A permanent block. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. If you had some advice to give to somebody who was starting out, maybe they were acting, maybe they wanted to get into voiceover, is there anything that in all of your years of experience that you'd want to pass on to somebody?
Yes, sir. This is what I always say, Stephen. And I've been asked this question because I've been in the business like let's say it's been 45 years or whatever. I've seen everything. I've done everything. I never became a big star like Tom Hanks, but I've done pretty much everything and I've seen everything. My advice is always this. I'll meet young people. Oh, my daughter wants to get into show business. My son, I want to be an actor. Blah, blah. This is what I always say. This is advice I got from the great James Garner, the Rockford Files, the great actor, that handsome guy. And he said when he got into show business, his dad gave him the following advice. And I always thought, this is the best single advice I've ever heard. This is what you follow. He said he gave me the 5-year rule. He said, go out, Give it 5 years, give it everything you've got, spend every nickel you've got, meet everybody you can, go to every party, try everything you can for 5 years. Try to get into anything and see if you can make a breakthrough in 5 years. He goes, now, if you don't get anything in 5 years, you probably don't have it. You probably don't have that kind of talent that you need. It's not too late. 5 years is not a big portion of a person's life, so you can get into another field. You go, I gave it my best shot for 5 years, I can get into another field. In 5 years, usually if you have something, if you have a modicum of talent, you'll get a movie or a TV show or something that'll fulfill you. I say give it 5 years. If it doesn't work in 5 years, move on. It's like losing at poker. You just say, look, I lost. I'm not born to be an actor. This isn't my destiny. And you go on and become a milkman or a banker or whatever. They don't have milkmen anymore, do they? But you become a banker or whatever.
Jared, are you listening to this? No, I'm just kidding.
I am very much. I'm very much. I'm.
Twist that knife, Stephen. Twist that knife.
That wasn't nice at all. It was terrible. But that's what friends.
Now, do you guys work as a team?
Yes.
You do all shows together. Okay. Is it because of the virus you're not in the studio together or what?
I live in Georgia.
And Stephen, where are you?
I'm an hour and a half from you. I'm in Maryland.
You are in Maryland.
I'm in Hagerstown, yeah.
Okay, we go through Hagerstown. Yeah, so just a coincidence.
Yep.
Okay, well, we can meet someday. I get not all the time, but in Facebook a couple of times. With Eddie, I'm in your neck of the woods. Can we meet for lunch? And I'll meet my Facebook friends, and I'm never disappointed. They're always great people. We talk for a couple hours. They buy me lunch. We talk. We have a good time, and they're always a pleasure to meet.
Well, if you ever need a studio recording, because I know you probably don't have one.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen.
Got you.
Stephen, were you born out here, Stephen?
I was born in Olney, Maryland.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so
So you know Cumberland.
I've always been in Maryland, and I went to Cumberland many times. And
Very cool. Okay. Yeah, we have Babe Ruth. We have Edgar Allan Poe. We've got a few people, famous people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We got 2 Chainz.
2 Chainz? That's
The
your
rapper.
Eddie, did you ever get married, have kids?
Yes, I was married in the 80s. I did a skating film in the 80s, and I met her there. Her name was Linda, and I was deeply in love. She was so beautiful. She kind of looked like Cher. She was way older than me. She was like 5 years older than me. And we were married for 2 years, but it just didn't work out. Our big thing was we got to eat together. We would just, I was making big money in those days. I was doing pilots and movie stuff. So we go to Jason's and the famous restaurants. We'd have a good time eating together. Yeah.
But you
And
never
I learned a lesson about here's a lesson, and here's another lesson I learned from life. Linda and I would go to famous restaurants. We'd eat. So we went to one restaurant. This is how corny it was. We literally ordered champagne and caviar. This is as cool as you can get. We're going to order champagne and caviar. And we got the champagne and caviar. And we thought it was delicious. We ordered, our little filet steaks. And we had a baked potato. And we had the greatest dinner ever. We go, you know what? Let's go back tomorrow. So Linda and I, we made a reservation. We came back tomorrow. We ordered champagne and caviar again. We had champagne and caviar. But you know what? The next day, the champagne didn't quite taste as good. And the caviar wasn't quite as delicious. And the steak wasn't quite as wonderful. And this is a lesson I learned in life. Part of the treat of life, part of the joy of life is to just have that one thing. And you can't duplicate that great moment. You kind of move on. And, you look forward to this. You have your great moment and you move on. You don't try to be like, you go to a great party, let's invite the same people to have a party the next day. It doesn't work that way. You have this great party, and it just happened at that point in time. You had a great party, and there were great people, and the food was great, and the booze was great, or whatever. And it's just great. And then you just go on and live your life, and you realize I had the greatest party of my life. That was that party at that point in time.
Yeah, and then you're trying to catch up to that same moment.
Yeah, we try to catch it back. I think all of us do that. We try to recapture those great moments, and it's not to be. Just that was that point on the timeline. That's all. And it's gone forever. But you always have it here forever. You can always keep it forever, up there.
That's true.
Enjoy the moments.
Yeah, yeah.
So you never had kids. You were married, but you never had kids.
Not to my knowledge.
Yes. And did you ever regret not having kids?
Yes, absolutely, Stephen. I so miss not having kids. In fact, I take it even further. I so miss not finding the right girl. I've had the most wonderful life in the world. I've met 8 presidents. I've met every movie star and director in the world. I've had just a joyous life, but I never found the right girl. And that's the one thing missing in my life. But here's another lesson about life. I did a signing show and I put a girlfriend there. This is a girlfriend, not a girlfriend. But we were there and I was telling her this. I go, I've had the greatest life, but I never found the right girl. I never found the right girl to live my life. You can go to the Grand Canyon and look at it with your soulmate. And I never found that girl. And she goes, let me tell you something, Eddie. She goes, nobody gets it all. She goes, in this life, nobody has it all. She goes, not Frank Sinatra, not Elvis. Nobody gets it all. And I never got those words. It was very profound. Nobody gets it all. Somebody's always going to be missing something. There's no such thing as the perfect life. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, I'm sure if people would trade marriage and kids for your life,
Yeah, it's like we would kind of shift around, or I would give away maybe that I did a couple movies if I could find the right girl to have
Right.
my soulmate, as Jared was saying. Except Jared said animal soulmate. So let's go to human beings here.
I've been married for 18 years already, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm trained.
He has a flock of kids. He's got a flock.
You
of
married
kids
your best
too.
friend, Jared, did you?
I did, and she's
So you're very blessed.
She's
You're very lucky.
5'1", and she's very scared. I never thought I'd be scared of something smaller than me. But then
But we have to face the fact, Jared, that they might be smarter than us. They might be the smarter sex. They might be the superior sex.
Absolutely are.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's something all guys have to face.
I got kids. I got family. I love them all.
How many kids?
3.
Oh, that's awesome. What do you have, Jared?
A daughter, the oldest daughter, she's 20. My son is 17. He's like 6'4", 6'5".
Mm-hmm.
And then my 12-year-old daughter, who also.
Any of them have the bug to get in the business?
My daughter is in the business. My youngest.
Okay, so you can help guide her. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's fantastic. I love my kids.
Yeah.
They're very creative. They're just as wacky as their dad.
Okay.
Did you ever go to any voiceover conventions or anything like that, or just basically
mostly just signing shows, not voiceover per se. I don't think. I've done a couple Comic Cons, and I've done Chiller Theater is a great one in New York, in New Jersey, and that kind of stuff. But I don't know if I've done a voiceover one per se.
Well, I'm just curious because you do have quite a large VO
Plethora of work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I used to churn them out back in the day. Yeah. I never did a Simpsons, but Simpsons. I guess that's like the Mount Everest. Do a Simpsons, but I've never done one. I know Dan Castellan, that he's a pal of mine, and I know Nancy. I never met Julie Kavner, but doing the Simpsons, that's like the highest voiceover thing, I guess, especially animation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did a Family Guy, but unfortunately they didn't use it. I went in and it was me and Seth MacFarlane. We were in the studio together, and I had like 4 lines. I go, "Hi, Peter. Welcome to the Republican convention." I played a Republican, and it's da-da-da. And I go, "Oh, thank you for coming to the Republican convention." I had 4 lines, and then for whatever reason they had somebody else do it. They didn't use my take. I don't know why to this day. He was a super nice guy, and Seth MacFarlane used to work on a show I used to do called Dexter's Laboratory. He was one of our early writers before he did Family Guy. But it would have been an honor to be on Family Guy. It's a brilliant, wonderful show. But I never got to be on it.
Is there any show that is out there that we don't know that you're on?
Trying to think. Not necessarily. Not that I can think of. I just freelance and did a lot of them. I used to do a bunch of Cartoon Network.
I'm just curious. Sometimes you do stuff and like nobody talks about it. And like,
Maybe like Playboy After Dark.
That goes without saying. For Hep and I, yeah. I mean, we got more tail than Sinatra.
Welcome to the Deezen Hour.
Yes. Chick magnet.
All 3 of us have that in common.
The magnet. The end of the magnet when it repels the object. There's an object to repel. That's me. That's the chick magnet.
So you show up and the chicks go.
That's right. Exactly.
Hey, anybody want to see I didn't even finish the sentence.
Well, they're all. There's an empty room here. Well, that's awesome. Jared, do you have anything else for my man, Eddie?
I do. I want to know what the world's first quote unquote nerds out on.
Well, I'm sorry, please repeat that.
You were like to me and to a lot of people, you are the uber iconic quote unquote nerd.
Okay.
So what is it that you nerd out on, or that?
A lot of things. The Beatles. The Three Stooges. I'm the biggest nerd in the world. I'm a total fanatic of these things. The Beatles, the Three Stooges. Books. I'm a book nut. My greatest joy in life. I'm the happiest when I'm just alone reading a great book. I just finished Woody Allen's autobiography. It's a great read. Wonderful. It's funny. He gets the whole Mia Farrow thing, and I believe him 100%. He's as witty of a writer as he is brilliant in his movies. He's a great writer. And that was a book I thoroughly enjoyed. So I will nerd out on books. They always go, if you'd not gone into showbiz, what would you have done? And I always go, I would either been a librarian or worked at a bookstore, because that's where I'm happiest.
Very cool.
Yeah, well, I'd love to see you put some screenplays together or something. That would be awesome.
Yeah, maybe one of these years. It's getting kind
I'm
of
going to inspire
late,
you, Eddie. I'm going to inspire you to write something.
You look around, and I was doing Grease. It seems like yesterday. Oh, excuse me. I got to come.
Believe it or not, that's not the first person who's been on this show that's had an incident.
Yes,
right.
Where they've had a phone call interrupt us.
Oh,
Life
okay.
is life. We kind of roll with the punches regardless.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Or no,
This is an
never.
Oprah. We're fine. We're fine with it.
And you get a car, and you get a car.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a little Matchbox car. Yeah. Oh, there's my card.
You get
Now, I
tax
can send
help,
you
and you get some tax help. And everyone gets tax help.
Awesome,
Well,
like a big possum.
Eddie, it's been incredible talking to you. The only thing I have left is where can people find you if they want to find Mr. Eddie
Well, they
Deezen?
can always find me on Facebook. As you guys know, I'm a Facebook nut. I live on Facebook. I'm the world's biggest Facebook addict. I'm there from morning till night from when I get up tonight. So you can always find me there. My website is eddiedeezen.com. My Uncle Leo runs it. And yeah, you can find me either of those places. Facebook, you can always trace me down. Anybody can PM me if you ever want to get in touch.
Yeah.
Always PM me, and I'm there.
So you're not an Instagram guy.
No, I've never, Stephen, I wanted to go on with Twitter. Oh, Eddie, why don't you get on Twitter? I've just heard you can get mean there. Twitter, you can get some gnarly stuff if you write some people write me replies, and I didn't want to get into that world. So he says it's better you don't. Just be on friendly Facebook. And like we say, Facebook, you met a mean person, you just block them or unfriend them.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's awesome. That's easy because then you're not really having to juggle a bunch of platforms like we are.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll get on Twitter. I don't know. Some of my jokes would just fit into Twitter because I write a lot of one-liners like that. So I kind of like.
think that would be perfect for Twitter?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In all caps and everything.
Right.
Ooh, what's your favorite one-liner joke? And then I'll let you go.
Oh my God, what a great line. Well, I had a great joke. You guys both look at the joke I wrote on Facebook. It's one of the great jokes I've ever written. Look at it today. I can't repeat it on your show, but Garrett and Stephen, go to my Facebook. It'll be joke of the day. It's not a one-liner. It's a great joke I wrote.
Okay.
But one-liner, I honestly, I am not Henny Youngman, Jared. I don't know. I can't take a one-liner.
Take my wife, please.
Yes, exactly.
Who's on first? Huh? You son of a bitch. Hey,
That's great.
what is wrong with all you people? All right, guys. Well, we've had a great time today. Thank you all for coming. Eddie, again, thank you so much for just hammering out some time for us. It was a real pleasure.
Well, let me get this in before I leave. You're two of the nicest guys I've ever done a podcast with. You're both wonderful guys, and I wish you continued success with your show. You have a marvelous show. Ask very intelligent new questions. Some I've never been at. Usually it's always the same. How do you get started in the business? Did you know Grease was going to be such a big hit? So what kind of pie did they hit you with? It's always the same question. But
We
you guys
didn't ask any of those
original
questions.
You didn't ask any of those. Yeah, you're two wonderful guys, and you have a good chemistry between you. I can see you guys have a good chemistry between you. So continued success to both of you.
We use the same conditioner.
Yeah, right.
We do. The same hairstylist.
Well, thanks again, everyone, for showing up. As always, I'm your host, Jared Brushers, along with Stephen Coghill. Eddie, thanks again for coming. Everybody, We'll see you next episode.